Hi guys, it's Kyle Chalmers here, Olympic swimmer, and you're listening to the Physical Performance Show.
Failure is not an option.
I've had my ups and my downs.
I think it's an absolutely breakthrough experience.
Welcome to the Physical Performance Show, the show designed to inspire the pursuit of your physical best performance. I'm your host, Brad Beer. Listen in as we delve into how the world's top physical performers achieve their success, as well as the highs, the lows, and the journey of getting there. Let's get ready, set, let's go.
How much ground can Chalmers make up? This is the situation he loves. We saw it in the 100 freestyle final in Rio. Now he's swimming for Australia. Back in 6th spot when he got into the water. Right now he's in 4th position. Swimming past the French team. Can he get Australia up into medal contention? Out in front, the United States still. Look at Chalmers coming. Chalmers is getting them up into bronze medal position. Can he get to silver? United States first. Italy second. Kyle Chalmers. What a swim from this young man. A bronze medal for Australia. Kyle Chalmers, one of the great races.
Welcome to the Physical Performance Show, brought to you by Precision Hydration's brand new fuel range, Pogo Physio's online telehealth consultations, and our upcoming live stream event featuring UK-based sports dietitian and author Rinny McGregor, fueling for the endurance athlete. I'm Brad Beer, sports physiotherapist and exercise scientist by trade and training and founder of Pogo Physio. Each week we'll bring you the latest and greatest information and inspiration designed to help you perform at your physical best. Of course, we do this across a range of our different episodes: interest editions, expert editions, coaches' corners, catch-up episodes, bonus editions, and of course, featured performers. Now, hot off the back of our earlier release this week, a bonus episode featuring Australian track and field Olympic athletes Genevieve Gregson and Patrick Tiernan, who so valiantly shared their tales from Tokyo, with obviously Genevieve Gregson succumbing to an Achilles rupture on the final water jump of the 3,000 metre steeplechase final, and Patrick Tiernan succumbing to exhaustion/heat illness with just 150 metres to go and what would have been a career best performance in the men's 10,000 metre final on the track. It's a must-listen to episode where both Genevieve and Patrick, both repeat guests of the Physical Performance Show, share so openly, rawly, and inspiringly around their highs, lows, and learn-ins. And it's with that in mind that we keep this Tokyo review theme going. And today you are in for a real treat with one of Australia's sporting icons, none other than Kyle Chalmers, OAM, 2016 100 metre freestyle Olympic champion, and now, as of Tokyo 2020/21, multi-Olympic medalist as well.
Into the pool, Kyle Chalmers, lane 7, the defending champion, got away pretty smartly. Dressel, as we've seen the whole time at these games, it's Dressel in front. Can he defend his title? Can he do what no other Australian has done? Dressel, Chalmers, they hit the wall. Dressel just gets him, and it takes an Olympic record to do it. Kyle Chalmers, silver.
And talk about Tokyo 2020/21 for Kyle, who came so agonisingly close to repeating the 100 metre freestyle victory, missing the gold medal by just 0.06 of a second. And you'll hear Kyle share around that today and how he's processing his valiant silver medal so well. And we'll hear Kyle's backstory, the highs, the lows, and the learn-ins. This is an episode I know you are going to enjoy. Kyle is quite the character. So with that in mind, let's dive right in. Kyle Chalmers, aka KC Critters, welcome to the Physical Performance Show.
Hey mate, thanks for having me on.
What a time it's been. You're on the other side of the 2020/21 Tokyo Olympic Games, and right now you're sitting in the Northern Territory in hotel quarantine, filling your day up with Zooms.
Yeah, I am. I'm in hotel quarantine here at Howard Springs, which honestly, it's not the worst thing. I'm a person that probably stresses out to start with, and then as soon as I adapt to a new routine, I'm fine. So I've adapted now, and it's just like I'm actually quite enjoying it, to be honest. I've no distractions and no people wanting me and whatnot. I don't have to answer to anyone. My Wi-Fi is pretty bad here, so half the time I don't even have to be on my phone. I can just be in my own headspace doing what I want to do. So I've really enjoyed my time here. I'm so lucky and grateful to be back in Australia because there's still 26,000 Aussies trapped overseas, so we were lucky to get over and get back for the Olympic Games. But yeah, been doing fair few Zoom calls, obviously, fair bit of media. I go pretty incognito during racing, so catching up with all my friends and family that I've probably neglected for the last, probably month or so, really, like the couple of weeks leading into the Olympics and then the Olympic Games. But yeah, it's been good, mate.
The big question, has Kevin Durant reached out to you after Tokyo 2021? Did you catch up this time? I know that one of your highlights, aside from, of course, becoming Olympic champion in 2016, was Kevin Durant sending you a little, wishing you well message before your final. Have you spoken to Kevin?
No, not this time around, unfortunately. I wish. But yeah, that definitely was a highlight for me in 2016 and something that I cherished probably, I shouldn't say as much as winning, but in the moment, definitely I was in awe.
You're into hotel quarantine. You've got time to be in your own headspace. What is going on in Kyle Chalmers' headspace at the moment? What are your reflections on the games?
I guess it's just nice being able to have that time to reflect rather than kind of getting thrown back into Adelaide and all the sponsorship and media commitments and kind of people probably almost telling you how you feel rather than how you actually feel. So for me, an Olympic Games is mentally, emotionally, physically draining and exhausting. Like we've worked so hard for 5 years to get to that point. You race so hard for 9 days. And then at the end of it, you are just, like I said, just cooked in every single way possible. So the first few days was probably sleep and rest and whatnot. And then it's kind of just I've been able to kind of sit back and watch my race back now, which is nice. My coach is in here in hotel quarantine as well, so he's been pretty bored, but we've been able to chat it over really well. And I've kind of just had a chance to sit down and realise what I've just done and accomplished, and I couldn't be prouder, to be honest.
And that is so great to hear. And I know all of Australia and indeed the swimming world were very impressed, and you won a lot of hearts in your gracious show of sportsmanship, picking up the silver medal by, was it 0.06 of a second?
Yeah.
Which is really a fingernail, right?
It is. It's nothing. I think the way I look at it is my reaction time off the block was 0.66 of a second. And Caleb's reaction time was 0.60 of a second. So he reacted off the block 0.06 faster than me. And that's the time that he won the race by. So all it comes down to is I've got to react faster, and I know that I'm there. But I've got plenty of things I can improve on over the next 3 years. And if I have a clean run of it with no injuries and setbacks, I'll be completely fine. But yeah, this year I had to settle to be the bridesmaid.
I mean, the swimming world knows, and I guess lots of the sports world, that yourself and Caleb Dressel have a healthy rivalry and a good friendship as well. It didn't just seem like a contrived act of sportsmanship. It was very genuine.
It was genuine. Obviously, the first moment you look up there, you see second and you're kind of like, shit. You're so close. And then it's kind of goes, well, if I'm going to get beaten by anyone, I'm glad it's my mate who I actually enjoy spending time with. And he's a familiar face to me. We've battled it out for since Rio. Obviously, we were in the 100 freestyle final in Rio, and we've had some pretty fierce battles since then. And anyway, so I made sure I'd do the right thing and congratulate him and celebrate his moment with him as much as I could. And I was proud to be there for that, I think. If it had been the other way and I got just touched out by, I don't know, one of the Russian guys or something, I probably would have been a bit filthy. But being a mate of mine, it's special, you know. Like if I have to lose to anyone, it's better to lose to him.
And it's an Olympic silver medal, of course, nothing to scoff at, and to be so close. And we'll talk about the context of that performance with your heart surgery, overcoming your shoulder surgery as well. The post-race interview you did with Channel 7 where you mentioned your grandparents, that's genuine. That's Kyle Chalmers. I don't think there was anyone watching that wasn't more endeared to you after that genuine, once again, display of who you are. Your family's a big part of who you are and your success, no doubt.
For me, I can't even remember what I said in the such a blur, but everyone told me that I spoke so well, and it's the first time I've heard that I actually mentioned my grandparents, so that's really nice. But I think for me, I got up in the morning that day and watched my grandparents celebrating my 2016 win. That video went viral there for a while, them sitting on their couch going crazy. And not crazy, but crazy for grandparents, I guess. Get up. I guess they're two of the most important people in my life and always have been. My grandparents are that stability that are always there and that loving two people that love me through everything and no matter what, and people that I just have so much respect for. So I guess when I'm racing, I'm always kind of doing it for them and knowing that they're back home watching it proudly. And, Grandpa gets to go down and do his lion mints, and Grandma goes to Tai Chi, and I'm sure I'm the talk of the town, and they're very proud of that. So, but yeah, family's a big thing. Obviously, like everyone's family, they're important. My family's, had a bit of a rough run since Rio. Like my grandma lived with me in 2016, and she actually passed away from leukemia just before Commonwealth Games in 2018. So that was obviously pretty sad and hard to cop. And then my parents actually divorced 2019, which was also really, really challenging for me, and still is. Like, it's a huge thing and a huge part of me. And my mum lives with me now, so she's my number one support. She cooks for me, she cleans up after me, and I know that when I come home from training and I'm so just exhausted, that she's there and she's that happy, nice person that I'm able to just sit on the couch with and watch TV and have dinner with and whatnot. And my brother's also moved back into my house recently as well, so it's kind of nice having that family connection back in. And for me, as nice as it is swimming at the Olympic Games, to get home and be able to celebrate that moment with them is going to be the most special part of it all.
We all see athletic performances at the highest level, such as yours, and it's easy to assume that it was a linear path to get there. But as you mentioned, you haven't had to overcome just your physical challenges, heart, cardiac health, shoulder injury/surgery, but also the inevitable life challenges that everyone gets thrown. But that's no doubt that they've been challenging times in the background.
For sure. And I think people, the general public or people like to see athletes as this, put them on a pedestal kind of type thing and kind of think that nothing's going on in their lives and nothing's wrong. But we're just normal people. We all have the same challenges. We've all got stuff going on, whether it's mental challenges, family challenges, physical challenge, whatever. Like everyone has stuff in their life going on, and it's just kind of how you can, I guess, adapt to it and overcome them. And I've had a lot to overcome, obviously, in the last 5 years, but I hope this next 3-year period is going to be a whole lot smoother, and I'll be good to go in Paris.
Come on, 3 years' time. And before we touch on some of these challenges, Kyle, I must ask, who had the tattoos first? Was it yourself or Caleb? You blokes have the best sleeves in the finals, in the pool. Is it a competition now?
It is. I'm finishing off my sleeve when I get home. It's the first thing I do when I get home from major competitions is get tattooed, just because that's the only time I get to have a couple of weeks out of the water. So Caleb, I think, had tattoos maybe in 2016 in Rio, but he got it all removed completely, and then he started again with his sleeve. So he might have started first, but I had a couple of little things at that stage, and then my mum hates tattoos and never wanted me to get them. So I kind of respected that for a while until it got to a point where I'm like, well, now I just want to get them because you don't like them type thing.
Hello, Mrs. Chalmers. And your mate Laz, your good mate Laz, who you've got a little project going there, the Mates and Plates with Laz on YouTube. What's he going to put on you next? Are you going to give him free license, or are you going to stipulate?
Nah, stipulate now. But he's going to put... My tattoos mean a lot to me. Like my sleeve especially is something that I've kind of designed and worked on for a long time, and they all tell a bit of a story. But I want to get the big Greek god of war on my shoulder up here. I think that'll look pretty tough as my big shoulder piece. But then underneath, I'm getting a big star, like an outline of a star with words inside of it that I think make a star person. So like resilience and determination or leadership, or kind of just got to work out what the words are I want to put in there at the moment. And then I'm going to have I've got my grandparents to write their names and birth dates down on a piece of paper, so it'll be their handwriting, but yeah, tattooed under my bicep. So I'll carry them wherever I'm in the world and wherever I'm racing. But yeah, so that's the sleeve plan. I'm only home in Australia for a week, so that'll be all I get tattooed again before I head over to Europe to race at the ISL. But I'm sure that's more than enough.
There's a nice tribute to your Tokyo Games on one of your social media posts there, Kyle, where you mentioned that the 4x100 metre freestyle relay swim with your mates Alex, Zach, Matt, and the heat swims as well was your favourite moment from the Games, picking up the bronze, and you had a cracking anchor leg of that relay, swimming up into a medal there. that seems like a genuine part of who you are as well. You really enjoy mateship and celebrating things with others.
Oh, yeah, I'm big about the team. I think the 4x1 team, the freestyle's kind of my baby. You know, I've been in that team for 6 years now. Started out as the heat swimmer, gone through to being the man who's, you know, anchors the team and brings it home. And my coach is the coach of the relay team. So we both kind of have a bit of a discussion on who goes where and what happens. And Zach and Alex, and Matt, we all spend so much time together. Zach and Alex, I spend a whole lot of time with when I'm away, and Matt Temple is actually going to move down and train with me in Adelaide. So they're three of my best mates on the Olympic team, and we weren't expected to get a medal. I think we were projected to be sixth, and to come away with a medal when it was my first Olympic medal of the competition again, and it meant so much to me just winning that medal. And I took it home and just sat on my bed and looked at it for so long and played with every little part of it. And kind of, you know, people win gold medals and that's great, but that's a gold medal to us. Like, you know, we weren't expected to win a medal. We came from behind. We've got that bronze medal, and for me, that's gold and as good as I could have asked for. And it's just nice doing it with your mates. And Alex and Zach were in my apartment with me, so we kind of hung out that afternoon and just celebrated and loved the moment. So, but yeah, I'm a big team player. I grew up obviously team sport with footy and basketball and cricket and everything else I was involved in as a kid. And I like racing individually. Like, yeah, it's fun, but I love the team aspect a whole lot more and doing it for my mates. So, you know, I swim the heat of the relay, I swim the final. I want to be in there and be a part of it.
Yeah, and you do that so well, as does the team. You mentioned your coach, Peter Bishop, and I did hear, getting ready for this recording with yourself, there were two words that Peter spoke to you before, or might have messaged you on WhatsApp, I think, from memory, before the Rio 2016 final, where you touched the wall at seventh and swam up for that incredible win, having just turned 18 years of age. Were there two words that Peter shared with you for your 2021 campaign?
No, unfortunately not this time around, because obviously 2016 he wasn't there and I had to contact him and the time zones and stuff would have been weird. But I remember trying to call him before the final when I was out on my balcony and I was like trying to get Wi-Fi again because I was in Brazil and the Wi-Fi was terrible, and finally got in touch with Bish and I've gone, oh, what do you want me to do, race plan tonight and whatever? And he just said, fuck him. And I went, and the way that works is it's like we you know, in April I made the team and we broke down exactly how I wanted to swim the race, and I trained that way every single day of the week, and I knew exactly how I had to do it. My muscle memory, everything knew that it was going to happen. It's just so Bish obviously didn't want to overcomplicate it for me, and that's what so it worked well. And then 2021 I had Bish there on the team with me, which is probably the best part of my Olympics. Another one of my favourite parts of the Olympic experience, I should say, is having my coach alongside of me there. He's a whole lot more than a coach to me. I spend, so much more time with him than anyone. I've been with him for the last 10 years now, I think. So he's a friend. He's a father figure almost. He's a mentor. He's a life coach. He's a coach. Like he knows a whole lot more going on in my life than anyone ever will. And he's a person I can talk to. I'm a person that probably doesn't open up to a whole lot of people and trust a whole lot of people, but Bish is one of those people that no matter what, he's there for me and I can chat to, and our relationship is very, very special. So to have him there on pool deck with me this time around was, the best thing I could have asked for, and he gave me a bit more of an in-depth race plan this time, which was nice, and I needed it because, I had such a rough year last year. I hadn't raced or trained all last year, and then I've kind of been building back, and the Olympics is probably only my fifth competition back, and I hadn't swum that fast in a long time, so I needed reassurance of how I could do it and best way to go about it.
Are you at liberty to share the race plan, what it was?
Well, it's all about, for me, getting a good start. So it starts off by me getting a good start now. That's what we've been working so hard in training on. So Caleb smashes me on the dive, but if I can be with him, then that's nice. But then it's just staying controlled for that first 35 metres, kind of building into that turn so that I'm able to excel and have a good turn and get that speed coming out of the wall. So I kind of, that last 15 metres into the wall, I start to ramp it up a little bit. And then I come off the wall and I don't want to go too hard straight away. I still want to kind of try and build through that, so I'm finishing strong. So our goal is to be about 2 metres per second when I'm swimming and try and hold that for as long as I can. So again, you got to train it and practice it every day in training, and my strength's my back end, my second 50 of the race. So I've got to not get caught up trying to go out too fast with the boys. Like even in Tokyo this time around, my first 50 is essentially my PB for the 50 freestyle. So I'm going out max, but I'm just backing myself to be fitter and mentally stronger probably than the rest of the guys, and being able to push through that lactate pain. I think for me, that's my favourite part of the race, is when my body starts to hurt and my mind starts to go, this is too much. If you're able to push through that, then you're going to be successful. But if you let your mind take over and start swimming backwards, you're not going to get there. So I love that part of the race. And, yeah, that's pretty much essentially the race plan. We try to keep it pretty simple and let me go to work.
Let you go to work, and that you did. And I believe you equaled your PB 47.08 there in Tokyo, which to have such a fine margin between gold and silver must be some consolation to know, well, look, given the journey you had between Rio and Tokyo, you couldn't have done any more on the day. And as I think you graciously said in your interview, you were behind the better man on that day. So close.
Yeah, exactly. He was the better swimmer on the day. He had to go on an Olympic record to beat me. And I gave everything I possibly can and swam such a great race. So for me, I can't look at it negatively at all. I did everything in my power to swim well, and I did everything. I've swum in 2 Olympic finals and swam 2 PBs, which very few people actually do. Normally the Olympics is a whole lot slower and people struggle to swim PBs just because of the pressure that's on everyone. But I'm very, very proud of my performance in Tokyo, and I think it's one of my favourite races and fondest memories that I'll look back on. I know. Rio, I was an 18-year-old kid. I rocked up at the Olympic Games, naive, had only swam for a year really, or trained properly for a year, and didn't really know what I'd achieved, you know what I mean? And then this time around, I've had to work so hard for 5 years, sacrifice so much, the pressure, the expectation, all that's on me. And to stand up and perform, it means so much more to me. Like, I know that I'll reflect on this silver medal a whole lot more now than I will my gold medal ever, I think.
Because of that character that you showed, and I mean the expectation, the pressure, performing on the big stage. One thing that I observe of you as an athlete is you are an enigma when it comes to what you do in that marshalling room. The little that we get to see from the outside world looking in, even at the Australian trials, Olympic trials, it's like, have a look at this bloke. Look at how relaxed he is. He's laughing, he's joking. I mean, that's just who you are. It's got to be an asset.
It is. It's a massive asset. But I think deep down, I probably am nervous and stressed. I know Olympic trials, especially for that 200 freestyle final, I was pretty nervous because I wanted so desperately to make the team. But I'm a person that does like to stay calm, and I perform well when I am calm. So even at trials, like, Zach and he's my great mate, and I could just tell how stressed he was, and he ended up he false started in the heats and got reinstated. And I kind of had a chat to him and just went, mate, you need to just stay relaxed and enjoy it. And I'm in there trying to keep everyone calm and laugh and enjoy my mates while I'm in there. And even at trials, I kind of walked in there and everyone's spread out, sat around the room, no one's talking. And I was like, bloody hell, boys, it's like walking into a funeral in here. Like, let's have some fun. Like, enjoy it. So I think I am different, which I'm starting to learn, that people probably have their own race plan and strategies and whatnot. But Olympics is obviously different. You have guys that not many people in there probably that speak English, and you don't know anyone. So I kind of like to walk around, and everyone likes to sit down for some reason before their race, but I like to walk up and down the seats and kind of just suss everyone out. And I think Reptiles a bit contest in that way. It's kind of about zoning people out and whatnot, and living rent-free in people's heads. So I like to play the mind games and do some slapping and walking around and staring. But Caleb, for me, again, like, he's that familiar face in the marshalling room that I'll always walk up to and have a chat to and have so much respect for. So we have a general chat, and then we switch to race mode, and then always after our races when we catch up and properly have a good chat. So hopefully he's on the receiving end of a loss next time, and he's as gracious in defeat as I am.
Hey, bring it on. The one thing that, and many people will have seen the Head Above Water documentary, Amazon Prime, which charted yourself and some of your Australian swim mates' journeys to Tokyo 21 through COVID and the cancellation of the Olympics and the postponement of the Olympics, the Australian team not sending a team at one point. Sorry, the Australian Olympic Committee not sending a team. And there were a few things that jumped out from that. One was your relationship with your coach, Peter Bishop, which you've touched on there, is very close and almost father-son-ish. And the other was just how much of that alpha male that Kyle Chalmers is. I watched it and was like, wow, this guy is the real deal. I think the word I used in my head was, he's an animal. This guy's an animal.
Well, I think at that point, even that's February this year, we were filming that, and I had my shoulder blow up, which I think was documented on the series. I haven't actually watched it back properly yet. I haven't had a chance to, just because I think it's all a bit too overwhelming watching it leading into the Olympic Games, but I'll sit back and watch it now. But yeah, I don't necessarily think I don't know, I try to be a leader probably more so than an alpha male, but I think, the 100 freestyle boys, the sprint boys seem to be the guys that are always the jocks of the team. That tends to happen. But, February, during that kind of, I guess, period of filming that, I didn't know whether I'd be even at the Olympic Games because my shoulder was so bad and I wasn't even able to train during that period. So I probably didn't even come across how I normally would anyway, to be honest with you. I probably came across as a doubtful, timid male, a shell of what I normally am.
No, I wouldn't use those words with the viewing of Head Above Water. It did document, though, that I think it let us in on the uncertainties that were around that time for you. There was frustration with you not being able to train as much as you'd like at the relay camps here on the Gold Coast. That was evident. There was scenes of yourself, your physio, Dr. Luke Eggleston, your coach, having a chat about, whether you should be swimming or not with your shoulder. What was your shoulder injury, Kyle, and what was the surgery that you had performed?
Yeah, so my shoulder blew up in April last year. So obviously with COVID, we stopped racing. Well, we stopped in March, so we went into break. So I raced at the end of March, did 100 butterfly, did pretty well in the 100 butterfly actually, but my shoulder kind of blew up a little bit after that. And then I had a month out. Pools finally opened. I got back in the pool and tried to, do what I was doing, and the shoulder just got worse and worse and worse. So they put a cortisone in my bursa. That was good for about 4 weeks. They put another cortisone in my bursa. That was good again for a little bit. Then they put a cortisone in my shoulder joint. Then they put a cortisone in my AC joint. Then I had MRIs and ultrasounds and you name it, I kind of had it. And we got to July. I went up to the Gold Coast and saw Luke Eggleston, and he kind of went, well, there's a lot of things going wrong. I have an osmocromiales, which is an extra bit of bone in my AC joint, which hasn't fused. And ideally, I'd get that taken out, but all my ligaments or tendons or whatever are actually attached to that little bit of bone. So then I have to stick them all to where they need to be stuck. And I probably wouldn't get back from that. So that's a thing I just need to live with, the osmocromiales part of my AC joint. Then I had a bit of a tear in my subscat. So they fixed that with PRP. So I had two lots of PRP and healed my subscat, which was nice. Then I had a torn labrum. So I went into surgery. So they booked me in for surgery in July. Then they went, let's try and deal with this naturally. Surgery is not ideal for a big sprinter like you. So kept getting cortisones. Nothing was getting better. I did 8 months pretty much of just face down, snorkel kicking, a bit of running, bit of cycling. Wasn't getting any better. So I got to December pretty much, and they sent me to Sydney and went, just see this surgeon and see what he has to say. And I got there and he kind of went, your shoulder's stuffed. We need to have surgery. I'll book you in. This was on a Sunday, and I flew over on a Sunday. I was going to see him on the Monday morning and fly back to Adelaide. And he went, nah, your shoulder's stuffed. Let's book in Thursday for surgery. So I was over in Sydney, and he ended up taking the torn part of my labrum out, shaved a bit of bone so I could get my bursa out of there. And then I had to build back from there. So that's definitely helped the pain quite a lot. Obviously, with the osmocromiales in there, still causes me a bit of pain. So I still have to get cortisones around that. Yeah, it was definitely a pain. And I hadn't started swimming until pretty much the start of January. Like the 1st of January probably was the first day I got to swim more than a kilometre in the water. And I had to build back from, one stroke of freestyle right back up to a kilometre, and then build from a kilometre up to, 10 to 11 Ks.
Yeah, wow, what a recovery. And I think the fact that speed work adds that extra demand to the tendons, the rotator cuff tendons, is just another layer on top. You're not there just to tick the laps off. You're there to go the world's fastest times. That's a high demand on the shoulder.
It is, and you're doing that, and you have to train to be able to do that. So you're swimming 50 Ks a week and gymming, and my shoulders are my money makers. So I need to make sure they're well looked after. And I've learned a whole lot about that just with injury management this year and staying on top of it with prehab and rehab and what I need to do. So that's another thing that I know that I've got that box tick now leading into Paris, that I know how to look after my shoulders, and hopefully I'll never have an injury like that again. But yeah, it's injuries cause a lot of stress. I know that caused me a lot of anxiety because I didn't know whether I'd be able to get through training sessions, and every day I'd rock in and some days I'd be fine and have a great session. The next day my shoulder would hurt like hell and I wouldn't be able to swim and I'd be so stressed. And then, then you're starting to get anxious whether you'll be able to get through training. And I'm a person that prides myself on hard work and training. So if I can't do that, then I'm like, well, what's the point of me even doing this? I'm not going to the Olympic Games if I'm underprepared, and I'm not. And I'm also a person that's not going there to get second, really. Obviously, I did in the end, but I need to back myself and believe I can win. Otherwise, there's no point in me racing. So, yeah, it caused me a lot of, I guess, issues and problems. And but it's been a really good learning curve for me in chapter, and hopefully it's a thing of the past. But and I can stay on top of the shoulder health now. But yeah, I guess everyone has to deal with injuries at some point, and I'm just unfortunate to have had to deal with it smack bang before the Olympic Games.
Gosh, it really is remarkable, and it's hard for athletes at an elite level watching competitors, particularly with social media these days, bank in the work when you're sitting there wondering if you're going to get 10K out of your shoulder this week or 20K or 30K, or and yet you still rock up to the biggest stage with that confidence. I've heard you say, I think it might have been with Brett Hawker, you go into these races believing this is my race, no one can take it away from me. It's a special inherent self-belief that you have in yourself, which is remarkable.
It is, and I only say that when I get behind the blocks. I'm a person that probably lives in a bit of fear and doubt and whatever from the semi-final through to the final. Like I start to doubt myself and stress out, and then I get to the final and I walk out on pool deck and I'm in the Olympic final, and that comes into my mind and I believe I can win. And it's no different than if I'm racing at state champs to the Olympic Games. Like I always believe and back myself in. I think, UFC fighters, no matter who they're fighting or boxing or whatever, they could be 50th in the world versus the best guy. They believe they're going to win. And if they don't, they talk the talk and make sure they do believe it. But I think swimming and competitive or professional sport needs to be no different. Like I don't understand people's mindset when they don't believe they can win. And I even, I'm a person that, even with like Zach Inserti, who's one of my great mates, and I want him to swim so well. So I kind of like to life coach him in a lot of ways and kind of share my ways with him. But even when we were standing in Tokyo, we were out there having a bit of a wrestle, and I said, if we were to box on, who would win? And he was like, you would win. And I was like, see, Zach, that's why you'll never be a winner, because you don't have a winning. You need to believe no matter what you can win. And I'm a person that's like, I box on with something like Zach. I know I'm going to win because that's just how my mindset works type thing. And I just think that I want Zach, if I can get that going in Zach, like he's going to be such an incredible asset to the relay team, but I think individually as well, like he'll be amazing. He's pretty raw in swimming. And so, yeah, I try to give him a bit of guidance here and there and fire him up a bit, which is nice.
So you do think that mindset can be trained, Kyle?
I hope so. I hope in a way it can be trained. If it flickers something in his mind, he's like, actually, yeah, that's a good point. Maybe that's the way I do need to think about things, and I've kind of done my job. But also at the end of the day, he's a competitor for me, so I'm not going to be, a psychologist to him. But he's a great mate, and yeah, I hope I get to have him in the marshalling room with me individually in the years to come.
Yeah, brilliant. Kyle, before we jump into a physical performance round, just the two topics. Prehab, what does that look like for you, for your shoulder?
It's a shit show now. I get there kind of, I've always been a person that'll be first on pool deck no matter what. I pride myself on being first at training, but now I'm first at training by at least 30 minutes. So I kind of go through 30 minutes of TheraBand exercises. And then I kind of get into my dry land exercises just to warm up everything and activate all my muscles and make sure everything's loose and ready to fire when I get in the pool, because swimming's one of those sports that you dive in the pool, you're swimming fast and expected to do well right from the start for 2.5 hours. So if your shoulders and body aren't warming up, then you have to warm up when you first dive into the pool, and it takes 45 minutes probably, and it's not good for your shoulders. So that's probably, my biggest thing is now my TheraBand's my worst enemy, but I know I've got no choice and I have to do it. Even here, like in the hotel quarantine, my coach called me day 5 and he went, and I hadn't been outside to that point. We can go out on that balcony, but I'm a person that's pretty happy just sitting. I was sitting here watching Olympics and I didn't want to go outside. I'm happy just with the curtain. Anyway, he said, you need to get out and do your shoulder exercise. And mate, I'm not doing my shoulder exercises. Like, I've done these things for the last 2 years, like an hour and a half of it a day, if not more. I'm not doing it. And he's like, are you serious? We don't want to go backwards. Like, what? Get out there and do it type thing. But now I'm out there doing my shoulder exercises even when I'm not even swimming. But it's something that I need to do and stay on top of. And it's actually a nice distraction while I'm here anyway. There's 45 minutes of my day filled in from doing TheraBands, but I don't think I'm ever going to develop a love for it.
Yeah, gosh, a necessary evil, either your greatest enemy or your greatest asset or ally. But Kyle, the other thing, you overcame cardiac surgery ahead of the 2018 Commonwealth Games here on the Gold Coast. Can you briefly touch on what that involved?
So, I had 3 surgeries. I had one in 2015 before Rio. I had one in 2017 before Com Games, and then I had 2019. So had a problem called supraventricular tachycardia, SVT. So essentially my heart rate would go up over 200 just randomly. So we could be sitting here having this conversation and my heart rate would just spike and I'd get all dizzy and faint and could last for half an hour, could last for 10 seconds. So it's obviously a concern and a worry if I'm diving into the pool and something like that happens, and it was happening more frequently. So 2015, they gave me the surgery. I decided I wanted to be, knocked out for the surgery, couldn't get enough stimulation in the heart. They couldn't find the problem. So it wasn't fixed. It started to get worse. 2017, I had the surgery again. I was awake for the surgery this time around, which is pretty traumatic, obviously, something I hated. But essentially, I've got an extra circuit in my heart that the blood could get into, like an electrical circuit. So the blood would get in there and not be able to get out. So it would just go around. So they went in there, put a burn in that circuit and thought that would be fixed. And it was fixed for a while there. And then it just grew, reformed and got worse. And 2019, I was having the problems constantly. And I got to World Championships in the semi-final of the 200 freestyle. And I was in the marshalling room and it happened. And it was like doing a max heart rate session before I walked out to race. And then I had a stinker when I raced. Well, not a stinker. I still went okay, but not as well as I had worked for and trained for. And it was just because of that. So, being an athlete, you kind of get told what to do by your coaches and doctors and physios and whatever. They kind of make up a plan and then you get told what to do. That's something I probably do get annoyed with as being an athlete, is you kind of a racehorse and get told what to do. But anyway, I got home from that World Championships and the doctor called me and said, you're going to see the heart surgeon, whatever, tomorrow or whatever it was. And I went, okay, sweet. Went and saw him and he booked me in for surgery kind of the next day type thing. And he went in there this time and burnt the whole circuit completely out, and I haven't had a problem since. So I think it's something I no longer have to worry about. But it's a common thing. There's 2 guys that I actually train with that have had the same surgery, and the amount of people that message me on Instagram with the same heart condition is very common. So I'm glad it's no longer something I have to worry about, because I think my biggest fear was I'd get behind the blocks or dive into the pool in an Olympic final and it would happen, and I'd have no way to stop it and control it.
With my background in triathlon, there's numerous triathletes over the decades who have battled with their SVT, and it's just so great that you've, I guess, picked yours up early and had a successful intervention there. Well done. You're listening to Kyle Chalmers, OAM 2016 Olympic 100-metre freestyle champion and silver medalist in the 100-metre freestyle in the Tokyo 2021 Olympic Games, along with a bronze medal in the 4x100-metre freestyle relay. On this, a featured performer episode of the Physical Performance Show. Support for today's show comes from Precision Hydration. I spoke to co-founder of Precision Hydration, Andy Blow, a little while back on episode 234 around all things hydration science. It was a very popular expert edition, with the key theme emerging being that there is not a one-size-fits-all solution when it comes to hydration for endurance training and competition. And now the guys at PH are doing for fueling what they've done for hydration by helping athletes to understand how much carbohydrate they need to perform at their best. You can take the Precision Hydration Quick Carb Calculator to get a fueling recommendation, and off the back of that, book a free one-to-one video consult with the Precision Hydration team to refine your hydration and now also your carbohydrate fueling strategy for your next event. Once you know your numbers, you can use Precision Hydration's Fuel 30 gels and the Precision Fuel 30 drink mixes to hit your targets. Each product contains 30 grams of carbohydrate per serving to make it easier for you to keep track of your intake and ensure you're getting enough fuel in to perform at your best during training and races. And the Precision Hydration team have generously offered up 15% off your first order of Precision Hydration electrolytes and the new Precision Fuel range by simply using the code TPPS at checkout. So jump over to precisionhydration.com. Support for today's show also comes from Pogo Physio's online telehealth consultations. If you are an endurance athlete struggling with bone, tendon or joint-related concerns, then our online 45-minute consultations can be an effective means to help get you back to your physical best. So jump over to pogophysio.com.au/telehealth. And finally, support for today's show also comes from our upcoming live stream event, Fueling the Endurance Athlete, brought to you by Rinny McGregor, UK-based sports dietitian and author, who will be sharing on September the 4th between 3 and 6 p.m. Brisbane, Australian Eastern Standard Time across 4 key modules, all designed to help you improve your learnings when it comes to fueling your performance. Now, we've got a post-event recording available for all registrants. Registrations are available and open, $49 per person. Jump over to pogophysio.com.au/livestream Rinny McGregor. You'll also find the link over on social at Physical Performance Show in the bio. At the time of this episode release, there are just a few seats remaining, so don't miss this incredible learnings opportunity. And of course, if you are a Patreon supporter of the show, we'll be granting you free access to this live stream. For now, let's jump back with this week's featured performer, none other than Australian swimming legend Kyle Chalmers, OAM, on this featured performer episode. Kyle, you are, at your words, a racehorse and you like to go fast. Are you ready for a rapid fire series of questions? We call this the physical performance round.
Yep, done.
Training session most disliked?
Oh, man, that's not going to be rapid for me. I'd say speed work, to be honest with you. I think I'm a person that likes to train aerobically and I'm obsessed with doing long distance. So if I have a session that's 10 400s neg splitting on 5 minutes, I'm pumped. But if I'm doing 450s on 2 minutes maxing out, then I hate that stuff. So probably that.
Yeah, wow. It's odd, right, for a sprinter, but clearly it works for you, particularly in that back end. Training session most loved?
There you go, aerobic work for sure. I'd choose sessions that is like, 5 800s kind of neg splitting or descending the 200s or descending the 100s in the 800, like all that sort of stuff I love. And I get through it so quick. I think that's my favourite thing is that I can get through, 5 or 6 Ks in such a short period of time. If you're doing sprint stuff, it takes you a long time to get through. So I've always loved that stuff and I think I probably force myself to love it a bit as well so that when I get that, because I train that stuff all the time. Like I don't train to be a 100 freestyler, so I've got to have a love relationship with that stuff.
That's fascinating. Favourite pre-race meal, Kyle?
Yogurt muesli in the morning, breakfast.
Yogurt muesli.
Heavy in the system before I have to race.
Yeah, totally. Normal training times, bedtime, morning time. What's that look like for Kyle Chalmers?
Bedtime, I'm normally asleep by no later than 10 p.m. and then I'm up at about 7 a.m. I'm probably a little bit. We start on pool deck at 7, so I'm normally up about 6 o'clock, I guess, just after 6, and normally at the pool by about 6:20 to start my rehab stuff. So I give myself about 3 minutes to kind of brush my teeth, make a cup of tea in the morning, and get in the car.
Those big shiny white pearlers of yours, and you're the first one on the pool deck, as you say. Who's the athlete Kyle Chalmers most admires? And why?
That's an easy one as well. Kevin Durant, for sure. I've admired him for a long time and will continue to for a long time, I hope.
Hello, Kevin Durant. Toughest competitor you've ever raced against? Who's that and why?
Again, Caleb Dressel. He's the first person that's beaten me, really. So I've always kind of gone through pretty well, just being able to go through and win races. And Caleb's the first person that's kind of gone faster than me and given me a slight bit of, not doubt, but kind of gone, well, there is someone better than me. So Caleb, I'd say. Caleb
Dressel. Is there a mantra that you typically use when you're racing?
This is my race and no one can take it from me.
Brilliant. Best recovery tip?
For now it's me. I ice my shoulders as soon as I get out of the pool. So I like to drive home from training with 2 ice packs on my shoulder and numbs the pain while I'm driving, which is nice. And I feel like I'm achieving something while I'm sitting in the car. So I'd go with that.
Practically, I've got to ask, what do you sports tape them on, do you? Or how do you apply them? Or
I just make sure bags up really tight and I just put them under my shirt so they can't move around.
One word to describe Kyle Chalmers' racing style?
Maybe fearless.
How would you describe being in the zone?
I would describe it as, I don't know. I don't think I have the zone, to be honest with you. I'm a person. Well, let's put it as I've got my music on, doing my dry land. Probably got a bit of caffeine in the system, so I'm fired up and feeling pretty good about myself. So that's probably when I'm in the zone. But again, when I walk into the marshalling room, I don't have my music on. It's probably, I don't know, slapping myself a bit, kind of walking up and down the stairs and believing in myself. I don't actually listen to music, so I get mates to kind of make me some playlists here and there, and I kind of give that a run when I'm at the games. So as long as there's a sound in my ears and it's pretty loud, then I'm happy.
And final session in this performance round, Kyle. We know that epic training sessions don't make champions, but what's the hardest training session you've ever done that you can recall?
Well, this is a question I get asked regularly, and for me, I go, well, every single training session's only as hard as you make it. So I could go 450s on 2 minutes is bloody hard because you're going max out. But I could go, I don't know. We've done sessions where we'll do 32 50s one on, one off, and that's going to be pretty hard as well. Or there's plenty of sessions I've done in my career that are just very, very challenging, but I could make an aerobic session or a recovery session just as hard as a max out main session. So, yeah, I could never answer that one. I think recently, I think this year coming in, I did one session that really sticks out to me that I would have been the most painful. I did 5 100s on 3 minutes at 200 pace push. So long course. So I have to go 51 mid to 52 low for 5 100s, and you do it. You sit there at the wall for 2.5 minutes. You build the lactate up. You go again. So you're pretty much doing 2.5 times your race distance. So that really, really hurt me a lot. That was terrible, and I felt crook and whatnot from that. But I could say there's plenty of sessions that I've done. We've done really crazy sessions at times, and but I pride myself on training hard and working hard. So no matter what the session is, I'm going to be hopefully the hardest worker in the pool, I'd like to think, but pushing myself to the max. And
I've heard you cite that your lactate doesn't get crazy high compared to other athletes.
No, I might max out my lactate around 11. I think I'm a person that trains, like I said, aerobically and trained to be a 200 freestyler, and I hadn't done any speed or pace work at all until after Olympic trials this year. So every single session for me consisted of doing, 9 300s short rest, or, 10 200s kind of short rest, or 400 short rest. Every single day was just short rest work and no pace. And it was just about building that aerobic system back up and getting myself fit enough to be able to come home in the 100 freestyle, because that's where the money's at. I think the people who win the races are normally the people that are finishing the strongest.
Well done, Kyle. You're out of the performance round. And the final 2 questions here, Kyle. If you had to boil everything you've learnt in your, let's not overlook this, still very young years, you experienced such success so early at 18, you're still 23, a baby, into consolidating all your learnings into one piece of advice to help listeners of this show perform at their physical best, what would Kyle Chalmers' single piece of advice be?
Listen to the people in your support team. Listen to your coaches, listen to your physios, listen to your doctors, and put that into practice. I know that for me this year, my biggest and most important part of my preparation has been I changed physio, and the advice that he gave me and the I guess exercises and whatnot he's given me have been life-changing for me and something I'll take forever in my swimming career. So yeah, I would say definitely listen to the people in your corner.
Powerful, Kyle. And final question here. Final challenge. Every guest of the show, Kyle, issues listeners with a physical challenge for the week. So what is Kyle Chalmers' physical challenge going to be? And let's not make it picking up a reptile. Thank you very much.
Well, can I have an idea of what other people have done in the past?
Absolutely. Everything from one of the early ones, Genevieve Lacar's, now Gregson, Australian teammate of yours, issuing a 30 pull-up challenge, which is pretty arduous, through to there's been several guests, Kyle, that have suggested it's as simple as turning your phone off for 2 days out of the week, staying off social for 2 days. So it's a wide range.
Well, I guess for people that are able to access a swimming pool, I'd suggest getting in and swimming. And I think swimming is a very, very important. Well, for me, it's a very, very important time in my day because I'm able to switch off to the world for 5 hours, of the day. I'm in the water. I've got no technology. I'm not looking at social media, and I'm able to think and use my brain. So I would suggest people jumping in the pool, and even if it's just swimming 1 kilometre, taking your time, but you're in your own headspace, you're swimming, you're underwater, you have no other distractions. So that's my physical challenge, is getting in the pool and swimming some strokes.
Brilliant. And I did go to the pool yesterday to feel like I earned my stripes to record with you today, Kyle. I didn't feel like going, but I thought, no, I can't sit here in front of Kyle if I didn't do that workout just before we record.
And I'm glad to hear that.
You're listening to Kyle Chalmers, OAM 2016 100-metre freestyle Olympic champion and 2021 100-metre freestyle silver medalist and bronze medalist in the 4x100-metre freestyle men's relay from the Tokyo Olympic Games on this feature performer episode. Now, if you missed our last episode, it was a bonus edition featuring Patrick Tiernan and Genevieve Lacaze, Australian Olympic teammates of Kyle Chalmers, and both Genevieve and Patrick shared so openly around their Olympic outings and the disappointments they respectively endured with a ruptured Achilles tendon and heat exhaustion in the 3,000 metre steeplechase final and the 10,000 metre men's final on the track respectively. Here's a little snippet from both Patrick and Genevieve sharing.
It was honestly a gunshot. It was just like a pop / gunshot to the heel, where I think a lot of people would probably normally be shocked, but I mean, as soon as it happened, I knew exactly what it was. And yeah, I hit the deck and was a bit upset.
And yeah, it was hard. I was, very emotional, fighting back some tears through that point, because you think it's been 5 years that you've been dreaming about this day, and to have it end like that, 5 years later, and my body just didn't quite have what I wanted it to have.
So be sure to jump back to episode 283 for your fair share of inspiration from two of Australia's great and most grittiest athletes, Patrick Tiernan and Genevieve Gregson Lacaze. For now, let's jump back with another Australian sporting legend, Kyle Chalmers, OAM, on this featured performer episode, sharing around career highs, lows and learnings from hotel quarantine. Kyle, obviously you're sitting there at the moment, still some time in managed quarantine, isolation and quarantine. You come out, obviously looking ahead, as you've already shared, to Paris 2023. There's World Championships, there's Com Games, so there really is a pretty condensed, workload coming ahead for you.
It is. It's easy for me to look at this next 3 years. I go next year, there's a World Champs, but I'm not sure whether because I'm going to do ISL at the end of the year. So I travel September the 4th and I don't get back until probably January. So I'll do hopefully World Short Course at the end of the year. So there's a World Championship Short Course, which is the 25-metre pool, which I'll try to do. But I'm racing for the rest of the year. Then I'll come home and prepare myself for Commonwealth Games. Maybe World Championships if I'm fit and firing. But again, I need to rock up at World Championships believing I'm going to win. Otherwise, again, there's no point in me going. So that, and then the next year will be, I guess, World Championships again, because they're playing catch-up. So the year before the Olympics, they'll have another World Championships, and I'll compete there and get myself fired up for that one. But that will be a big year of training really hard, and then the following year's the Olympic Games halfway through it. So it's going to come around really, really quickly, and I just hope that I can have a real clean run at it this time around. Well, not hope. I'm going to have a real clean run at it this time around, but make it a gold medal sandwich with my. The Olympic, the 100 freestyle. So who knows? It could be the way I go out with a bang. But yeah, we'll see. I'm definitely very, very excited and motivated and hungrier than ever to compete at Paris. I think this little setback in Tokyo has probably been a good reality check for me.
No one can doubt your determination, resilience. You used those words earlier that might fill that star on your next tattoo: resilience, determination, leadership. You've got that in spades, Kyle Chalmers, and thank you for your contribution to the Physical Performance Show. And I know on behalf of the listenership, we just all applaud you, mate. You're an outstanding young Australian and you just conduct yourself so well. So well done.
Perfect. Thanks so much for having me on, mate. I really appreciate it. And hopefully the listeners have learned some stuff and they're going to put it into practice. So, hopefully it makes everyone a better person, a better version of themselves.
Absolutely, mate. And we can find you obviously easily over on social, but we must shout out to @KC_critters, which was something I didn't know about you until the Head Above Water documentary over there on Amazon Prime. So big passion of yours, and I think it's brilliant.
It is. Reptiles is a big distraction away from the pool for me. Obviously, I spend probably up to 50 hours a week in and around the pool, so it doesn't leave me with much time to study or have a job, and I'm a person that's all in or not at all. So I tried studying. I was doing psychology there for a little bit, and then I was doing sport and recreation management, but it was just all too much and all too hard. So I got into the reptiles. I grew up in country South Australia, so I've been exposed to reptiles from a young age. And one of my fondest memories was going to catch lizards with my grandpa. And when I moved to Adelaide, I'd gone from living on a pretty decent-sized property in Lincoln and having every single animal you could imagine to having nothing. And I went to my mum, can I have something? And she said, oh, you can have a blue-tongue lizard. So I had a blue-tongue lizard. When I got back from the Olympics, that grew to probably having 40 or 50 blue-tongue lizards. Grown to having crocodiles, pythons, frillneck lizards, heaps of goanna species. You kind of name it, I've had it and kept it and tried to breed it at some point. And now it's a job but it's a hobby. But it's the most important thing to me outside of swimming. I think it's such a good, healthy distraction. If you don't have ways to distract yourself from swimming, you just burn yourself out because you kind of go home, you're thinking about swimming, you don't have any way to take your mind off it. Obviously, my job and lifestyle is swimming, so I'm doing sponsorship requests, media stuff constantly. People know me as a swimmer. Whereas this, people know me as KC Critters now. Like I've got a whole group of friends that have no idea who I am as a swimmer. They just know me as KC Critters, the reptile guy. And I like being that. It's like I get to live a whole nother personality at points.
Right. Who fed them? Who looked after them with the cans, the pre-training in cans, and then at Tokyo? Who's been on it?
Almost 9 weeks now. But yeah, my mum and brother are back at home now, so they kind of chuck the crickets in there every now and then, give them some water. But everything's in hibernation at the moment anyway, so reptiles are very, very easy to maintain. You can, this time of year, the more neglect you give them this time of year, the better. So you come back, they've had a good sleep, good rest. You haven't disturbed them, and they'll be ready and fired up to breed for the season. So yeah, my mum, and then I've got a good mate of mine who drops by and looks after things as well, and I'm very lucky to have him do that because it is a stress when I go away. And my mum's not a huge fan of obviously pythons and snakes and whatnot, but takes care of that. But yeah, it's good.
Well, it's good to hear the reptiles will be fired up, and so will Kyle Chalmers for Paris. So thanks again, mate.
Hey, thanks, no problems at all.
So there you have it, another episode of the Physical Performance Show, and I trust and I know you enjoyed Kyle Chalmers' share-ins today. What an absolute treat. Now, do let Kyle know what it was that you took from his share-ins today. You'll find Kyle easily over on social at Kyle_Chalmers3. That's the numeric 3. And don't forget to follow Kyle's reptile enthusiast gallery at KC_Critters to see the other side of this remarkable athlete. Of course, keep the podsies coming. That's simply a screenshot of the episode you're enjoying and tagging in the show at Physical Performance Show. And you'll find myself on social at Brad_Beer. We'll repost those. They're a whole lot of fun to see coming through. This show would not be possible without our supporters. So once again, thank you to Precision Hydration for your support. As we say, podcasts, whilst free to download, are not free to produce, and Precision Hydration, your support means so much. Don't forget to use the code TPPS at the checkout, precisionhydration.com, to receive 15% off your first order of electrolytes or the all brand new Precision Fuel range. Don't forget to register your place for the upcoming Rinnie McGregor live stream, September the 4th, 3 to 6 p.m. Brisbane, Australia time, fueling the endurance athlete. There are just over 25 tickets still available for last-minute registrations for what will be an incredible learning opportunity with prior featured guests from episode 258, Rinnie McGregor. Jump over to pogophysio.com.au/livestream Rinnie McGregor, or jump over to the bio for at Physical Performance Show on Insta. And of course, this show would not be possible without our patrons as well. If you'd like to support the production of the show, you can do so from just $5 per month over at Patreon. Just search the Physical Performance Show. And this week, we want to say a massive thank you to our new patrons, David Macca Presida from the Gold Coast, Australia, a fantastic age group athlete, Kathleen Dorsey, David Raymond, Kathy Slivan, Steve Ledger, and Michelle Marriott. Team, thank you for your support. Of course, you'll receive complimentary access to our back catalogue of live stream events featuring 2020's very popular live streams with Dr. Stephen Seiler around all things polarised training and Dr. Shona Hallison around all things optimising recovery. And thank you as always to the great folk who make this show possible each and every week. Daryl Misson, our audio engineer, Susan Wilkin on all things show administration, and Matthew Walding on all things show graphic design. Now, coming up next week, we will be sneaking in another bonus episode for you, a Tokyo recap of the Australian men's and women's marathon team results, which we were able to capture whilst the team spent time in managed isolation and quarantine at their hotel in Brisbane. So that'll be released early next week. followed by our normal Thursday night release featuring Andy Blow on all things calculating your carbohydrate ingestion numbers, with an expert edition that we push back by several weeks to bring you some of our Tokyo 2020/21 content. So until next week, keep pursuing your physical best performance. I'm Brad Beer, and this has been the Physical Performance Show.